Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we're going to be doing our playthrough of Solomon Kane by Mythic Games. In my unboxing I asked which one of the storybooks you wanted to see, and the most votes were for the Beasts of Bordeaux. So we're going to go ahead and do this mission or story. Hopefully we can make it through. We'll see how it goes. We're going to go ahead, get the game set up, and we're going to begin. Now the way you begin is just by opening this book and starting from the very first page, and then that'll tell us what we have to do and where we should be going. This book contains 2 or 3 different ways of playing the game. There's like stories, and there's actually like missions you're going to be going on. Also on top of that, during the story modes, you might have to try to collect a bunch of light in order to be able to continue on, or you might continue in the darkness. Also, there could just be a simple choose your own adventure type moment. So let's go ahead and start by opening this book, reading about it, and seeing what unfolds. And if you're excited to do that, then I need you to meet me at the table. Before we start, I do want to mention that this video is going to be shown on the One Stop Co-op Shop as well as on my channel, but only the first part. The rest of the series is going to be seen only on Meet Me at the Table. Some other great playthroughs out there at the moment are Rolling Solo did a fantastic playthrough. Adam Smith is amazing as always. There's also a channel called Paintin' Games Corner who did a great playthrough of Solomon Kane. Those two will be linked in the description below. Please go check those out if you're looking for more Solomon Kane content. This story is only going to have 1 act, which usually lasts about 10 chapters, but there are other missions that have even more than 1 act. Those, of course, are a longer campaign, or I should say story, that you're going to be going through. So we're going to go ahead and just do this act 1 from the Beasts of Bordeaux. And it is inspired by a story by Robert E. Howard. So, of course, we're going to continue forward. There are, like I said, 10 chapters, and then we have an epilogue at the end. Over here it says, "Coat well the blade of your sword with this, monsieur. And at first it does not work, apply more. I shall continue to fill pots and vials with all you will need. Just keep the beasts away from my workshop." So this was a quote from the herbalist in The Beasts of Bordeaux. So we're going to continue on and see how this goes. Using this storybook. The storybook is broken into 2 types of chapters, story and scene. I called them missions, they're scenes. The story chapters don't use miniatures or tiles, but instead are completed by using a combination of discovery cards, choices, or placing light onto the chapter. Our scenes, on the other hand, are going to be chapters where we're going to be are associated with the map, outlining positioning of the tiles, components, and miniatures. Both stories and scenes will list all the required parts needed to complete the section and allow us to progress through the adventure of Solomon Kane. The full list of miniatures and the end tiles can be found later in this book. There are 6 different sections to a chapter, and they are performed in the following functions. First, you do have the chapter, which is going to be the flavor text telling the story up until the point that the chapter takes place. What happens next is revealed through the actions of the player. Then, of course, there are some special rules or stat changes that are shown here. These can take place before, during, or after the scene. There are keywords and stats, where characters and tokens can have stats or keywords associated with them. If so, they're listed here. If they are not listed here, then the rules are applied as normally. Then, of course, there are objectives. The objective for the chapter can be completed in different ways, depending on whether it is a scene or a story. The criteria needed to progress are listed here. We, of course, have an outcome, which determines the chapter the players will progress to. The map then sets the scene for the chapter. The game is set up on exactly as shown. The names of the miniatures are listed here too and can be referred to in order to specify which miniature or token has unique stats or keywords assigned to them. Concluding the story, of course, is the end, and that's going to be if we do win or not. Adventures in Solomon Kane end when a player reaches either a victory or defeat chapter to reach the epilogue. The type of victory or defeat can be either major or minor, regardless of Solomon Kane's victory or defeat. When the players reach these conditions, they can choose to try again or move on to a different Solomon Kane adventure. Here it shows all the miniatures that we'll be using for this adventure. I really enjoy the fact that they do this. So I know what I need to get out from the box and what I need to get painted so that we'll be ready to go when we play our adventure. This is really cool. I hope more games start doing this, showing what miniatures I'll need for an adventure. Not only do they show us the miniatures, they also show us the tiles that I'll need to get from the box to be ready to go. We're going to start our adventure here in Chapter 1A. It's a story, and it's called The Choice. So it starts here with Solomon Kane rides along well-torn tracks in the pleasant Bordeaux countryside. It is late summer, the air is warm and balmy, and in the fields laborers turn from their day's toil to seek a well-earned hot meal and their bed for the night. After a day in the saddle, the Puritan has similar designs on filling his belly and renting a berth at an inn. As he slows his mount to join the villagers filing back into town, his tall, gaunt figure, clad in Austrian black, draws guarded glances, though some nod or bid him good eve. A wooden sign by the roadside names the village Calais. The streets are busy, thronged with hawkers tearing down their stalls for the night, and village folk haggling for last-minute bargains on unsold produce. As he arrives at the center of the village looking out for an inn, Solomon becomes aware of a great commotion. From a side alley, a tall, Saturn man, his head and arms restrained by stocks, rushes in front of his horse. The unfortunate wretch is hotly pursued by a furious mob crying out, "Beast!" and "Monster!" and all the while they pelt him with stones and fruit. Whatever the fellow has done, and in truth, Kane does not care for the aspect of him, mob justice is no justice. At this point, our storybook is telling us where our virtues are going to start in their stat values. Our book is going to tell us to put our danger at 4, so we're just going to slide our token over to there. Our compassion is going to go to 8. We're going to go ahead and put our clarity at 8 as well. And our strength is going to go at 8. So we're going to start at 8 on everything except danger. Now the way that this track works is these numbers up here are going to allow us to gain more points when we try to take these tests using these certain attributes. So if we had to do a strength test, we would get whatever our pull was plus 1. And you'll see how that works during the playthrough. Now we can never go above 10. So once we get up there, we'll be at plus 3. It's the best we can do. Now our danger can never go below 1. But if our danger ever reaches above 10, we lose. And if any of these attributes drop below 0, we also lose. And I shouldn't say lose. We get to read the other event in the storybook. And I'm going to guarantee you right now that the other is not something you want to read. It's going to be bad. Down here is also something we have to be aware of. When we do move into some of our scenes, this is going to depict how many shadows are allowed to be on the board at any one given time, barring any other type of rule or card that is played to change that. So for now, the most we can ever have on the board is going to be 2. Of course, if our danger ever goes up even 1 point, it could go up to 3. Oh, no more shadows, thank you. At this point, our objective is that we have to choose which one of these we want to do. We can either fend off the pursuers, no matter what the poor fellow did. Mob justice is no justice. To do that, we're going to go to 2A. Or we can pull him onto the horse and ride to the village, which we will go to 3A. I'm not a big fan of horses, and I don't see how we're going to get a guy who's on stocks into this horse. So we're going to go ahead, I think we're just going to go to this 2A. So let's go ahead and check it out. Chapter 2A is a scene, and it's called Face the Mob. Now, before I continue, I just want to tell you right now, I'm probably going to say some names wrong and words wrong, and I apologize. I'm going to do my very best. It says, the imposing Puritan swings down from the saddle with an ease, with movement agile as a cat, to stand before the pursuing mob. Though they are simple village folk, all instinctively recognize the danger in the man before them. Here stands an expert in dealing death and violence, a true warrior not to be trifled with. The mob judders to a halt as the line at the front draws back before Kane, but the others surge up from behind, pushing into them. The object of their ire, the man in stocks, pauses to look back at his unexpected savior and Kane glances over his shoulder at him. The fellow favors Kane with a faltering leer, lips peeling over great yellow teeth, dark eyes glinting neath the thick black brows that extend fully across the bridge of his nose. "Please, monsieur," says a villager at the head of the mob to Kane, like the ringleader, "our quarrel is not with you. This man, if a man you call him, is not what he seems." We're now going to take a look at our keywords and stats. We have a traveler that has the seeker keyword. He's going to be seeking the token that is going to be out on the board that looks like this. This is what he's going to be seeking. He does have 4 health, and we also are going to have our villagers out on the map, and they're rabble. They're going to be seeking the traveler. So as the traveler moves towards this token, they're going to be moving towards him. Our objective is to save the fugitive. Outcome: if the traveler reaches the token, we proceed to 4A. Otherwise, we're going to proceed to other, 4B. Now remember I told you, other is usually not that great. So our goal is to get the traveler to this token the fastest we can and the best we can. The next thing we have to do is at the bottom of the page, it shows that there are 10 darkness cards that we're going to have. This is representing a timer along with things that are going to impede us as we continue on through this scene. We also are going to have discovery cards 1101 and 1102 in play as we're playing through the game. We're going to read these before we start, and all the rules that pertain to these we're going to use during the scene, or they might actually happen right away in the scene. We'll see how they play out. I don't even know what those cards do. Here are our darkness cards. We have to take 10 of these. Before I do want to mention there's 2 different ways of kind of playing this game. One is if you notice the back of these cards are all kind of with this purple and black surrounding. That's different from these cards that are also darkness cards that are fully black. These are like nightmare cards. They may increase the difficulty as you go through the game. And you can add these in place of some of the other ones you decide to use. You can do 5 and 5, you can do 3 and 7. You can really create your own like difficulty for this game. But we're going to play on standard, so I'm going to take our darkness deck here, give it a good little shuffle here, and we're going to take 10 cards from this deck and put them out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There is our darkness deck. This again, like I said, is going to be our timer. It's going to keep us, once these are out, that is one of the end conditions for the scene. These are our 2 discovery cards that are taking place in the scene. The first one's 1101. It says Barrage of Stones. The mob charges after the man in stocks, hurling a variety of missiles, including some larger stones, that might seriously injure or even kill him. So this is going to activate whenever a villager is in the same area as the traveler. The traveler then cannot move. At the end of each virtue turn, if there is at least 1 villager in the traveler's area, I lose 1 compassion, and I have to place a damage onto the traveler. So that's our first card. Let's go ahead and take a look at our second card. It is called Against the Crowd. The Puritan steels himself against the oncoming mob, weighing his chances. He reaches for his pistol as he takes a deep breath, knowing he must disperse the mob before they render an unfair justice against the man. Now, this again also will activate when and it says here, Solomon Kane knows both his words and his actions may sway the crowd. So virtues may target villagers with the following actions. I can either do a talk action or a fight action. And if I get less than X, I have to read one of those 2 cards. If I get more than X, I read the other card. And X is equal to the number of villagers in the same area as the target of the action. So let's go ahead and set up our map, and we'll see how this is going to play out. At this point, we're going to go ahead and get our map set up. So I'm going to go ahead, and it shows where all these different people are going to be placed out on this map. So the first thing is we have 2 male villagers. We have that token that he's seeking down here. We also have this X spawn token for some of the shadows, and we have some female villagers that are going to be placed out here as well. So we're going to start there, and then we're going to move across all these boards, placing all the people we need to. Our book is going to tell us where to put everything, and the first thing we have is our token that our traveler is attempting to seek. We also are going to place this X token down. This is a potential spawn for some of the shadows in the game. Next, we're going to go ahead and get our villagers ready. So we've got one of our female villagers, we're going to set her right there. And then we have 2 male villagers. We got this guy and we got this guy. We're going to go set them out on the board. One is going to go here and one is going to go there. Now, Solomon Kane is also going to be on the board. He is right here. He is going to go ahead and be placed right up into this area over here. Now, if you notice this, it has like a divider right here, but these 2 are all considered 1 square. It's a little bit off camera. You'll see it when we move into that area. Over on this area of the board, we have a male villager. He is going to go ahead and be placed right here. We also have our Z spawn point. That's going to go right there. We have our female villager here. She's kind of wearing a teal dress. She's going to go right there. Then we have one of our shadows. These are bad news. These are immortal shadows. These are going to try to affect Solomon Kane, and they're going to hinder his ability to do checks, and also they're going to hinder his ability to, well, they can actually do evil things to him as time goes through. Now, of course, he's, again, also in one of those squares that's divided. And this is all considered 1 square for movement purposes, so I can place him anywhere in this area. There's still a couple more places to go. The northern part of the map is going to go ahead and start with 2 female villagers. One is going to be there and one is going to be here. We're also going to place a shadow. He's hiding inside of that cart. Oh, pretty scary stuff. Then we also have our last male villager here. He's going to go ahead and be placed right there. Then we have our traveler. He's right here. Look at this guy. He's missing an arm. This poor guy. Oh man, he's not in stocks. He looks like he's been through a lot. We're going to go ahead and place him down on the board. He's going to go right there. Finally, the middle part of the board, we actually get to place one of our virtues. So we have Prudence all set to go. She gets to go ahead and be placed on the map as well. I'm really digging the fact that she's standing on this shield. It looks really cool. This model is awesome. I'm really a big fan of this model. This model looks really cool. I painted her black because, well, I guess she's black. Prudence has got a black dress on. We're going to put her right there. And so she's near Solomon Kane. But there's also this shadow over here. And like I said, this is all 1 square. So he's only 2 squares away from Solomon Kane before he's going to start really causing Solomon Kane some problems. Also, if he's actually adjacent to Solomon Kane, he's going to hinder his ability to do any of the tests. So our board is all set up. We've gone ahead and looked at our story events and also got our darkness cards ready to go. Let's go ahead and get our virtues ready. After placing Prudence, I did figure a couple things. This is our compass rose. It'll always tell us where north is. There might be cards or events in the actual scene that tells us to go in certain directions, so we need to know where north is. Also, I forgot to place my Y. I bet you saw X and Z and went, well, where's Y? Well, Y is going to go right here. I missed that when I was putting out the rest of the stuff. So now we have all our maps ready to go. The first virtue we're going to take a look at is going to be Courage. Courage up here has an aura that says Fight +2. So whenever Courage is on the board and near Solomon Kane, we're able to do a fight. His fight skill gets +2. Now, of course, here's her miniature. She's all set to go. I kind of painted her up red because I don't red Courage. Why not, right? So we're going to go ahead and place her right here. So that means she's going to be covering up her aura, so it's not active at this time. She's got 3 different actions on her board that she's able to do at any time, as long as she is able to pay for them in dice. She has Gumption, where she can go ahead and move Solomon Kane 1 square, Aggression, where she can fight, or she can also place, I can also place Courage onto the board if I'm able to meet this dice recipe, I guess you could call it. And the question marks means it could be any symbol. Of course, these have to be satisfied with the actual symbol of the die. So I would have to place this down here, and I would have to place one of these down here. This is Pain, and this is Bravery. And I have to put them down there in order to activate that on her turn. Now, there are other symbols on the dice. There is a Faith symbol that's on 2 sides. This is a Wild symbol, and it also is used in recipes as well. But it can also be used as any other dice. Now, you can never place more than 1 Faith as a die to appease a die more than once on any one test. So I couldn't place 2 like this, but I could place 1 here as long as I had the other symbols that went with these. For example, Fear or Bravery or any of the other symbols here. So those are her things out here. She has this right here. These you can put light tokens on, meaning that this will boost the fight test. Notice it says fight X. X is equal to the amount of these that are lit up. We also are able to get reserve and donated dice. Donated dice come from other virtues. They can give dice to another virtue, but they can only give 1 dice a turn. And if the dice is not used on that turn, they are gone. And you can never donate to a dice to a virtue that has already taken a turn in that round. Of course, you can always lock up to 2 into reserve and use them in a future turn if you wish to. She has a set of cards that we're going to go ahead and mix up. And then we're going to divide these into 2 separate 4-card stacks that then we're going to be able to decide which one we want to start with. Let's start with this deck right here and see what we have. We have intervention, so I can gain a danger. And if I do, I'm allowed to move Solomon Kane one space. That's not too bad because we're trying to get up to that traveler. Inspiration, I can use one of those symbols to take a bravery, 2 bravery from the supply and place them into the reserve of a virtue of your choice. That could really help characters going later. Audacity, I need 3 bravery, but it removes all shadows from play. Oh, that would be really good. And then Fortitude, a question mark, 2 of those to be able to put out 2 luck cubes. Luck cubes we can use to redraw cards when we have to take our test if we didn't like the number we got. We also have this pile over here we could do, Conviction, look, 4 dice, Fight 5. So I would be able to add 5 to whatever fight skill I'm attempting to use. This one gives me +1 or +2 strength if courage is on the board. That's determination, a lot of symbols to play. I have -1 strength, and these 2 symbols to be able to move 2. Oh, this person's really good at moving people. That, of course, was haste. Vigilance, again, -1 to our strength. We get a couple symbols to place a light or 2 light if Solomon Kane is threatened, and that could be onto our dashboard to give us better fight skills. So, oh, that's really tough because both of these have some really good cards in them. I think we're going to go ahead and go with this set right here. I think this is really good. I like the fact that I can just move him with 1 danger because we want to get up to where he is. Moving is pretty good. And I like to take supplies. Oh, maybe not. Oh, it's so hard to choose. I'm going to go with Audacity, and we're going to go with this one. That's what we're going to do. Hopefully that'll be the right choice. Now, these 2 remain in our hand, so I'm just going to place them right here. And the 4 that we decided not to use, we're again going to shuffle up, and these become our draw deck. So we do get to place 2 cards out in our left and right hand. So if it ever tells me to do something with my left hand, it's going to be this one. Right hand is going to be this one. And of course, we have our 2 in reserve. I'm going to leave 3 dice right here because when we actually do take our turn, you're going to be rolling 3 dice. So I always kind of set 3 dice up there next to our character. And that's going to be, was this courage? Yeah, it's courage. Of course, the one thing I did forget to mention is on their turn, they're allowed to reroll or flip a die, and you'll see how that works during the playthrough. Courage is done. Let's move on to our next virtue. Next, we have Temperance. Temperance is already on the board, so she's having this aura of +1 reroll or flip. So when it's her turn, she's able to reroll an extra die or flip an extra die. And she can maybe pass some of those to other people through donated, or she can use them. She's got some interesting things. Now, of course, she's already on the board, but she is able to move any one virtue X, where right now X is 0, but as we give light, she's able to move some of the virtues around on the board. She also has a support power where I can place 1 light onto any virtue's dashboard, which could be really good in future or even right now to give us better fight and talk skills. So this character is really good at kind of helping out the party. It's a really support character, at least from her dashboard. Her cards may say something different. So we're going to mix them up and again, separate them into 4 equal piles. Let's look at this pile first. We've got Clarity, where we can go ahead and use all of these symbols to take 4 dice from the supply and allocate them to virtue reserves. As you choose, each virtue decides the result of the allocated dice. That's amazing. Wow. Charity's so good. Supervision, move 1 space. Gratitude, I can lose any one of these to place light onto this character. That wouldn't be too bad. Then we have Moderation, modify a track by 1 or 2 if Prudence is on the board, and she's on the board. I can modify any track, so you could do anything you want. Oh, that's really good. All right, let's see what else she's got here. Altruism, choose a virtue and resolve any one of their available actions for free. So good. Radiance, I have +1 danger, and these 2 to place 2 light. She could instantly be able to start moving any virtue 2 squares. So good. Reconciliation, choose a virtue. That virtue may immediately search through their discard pile and play a card of their choice from it. Really good, but not right away because I don't mean the thing in there. I can add or discard Darkness. Now, like I said, that's a timer, so we can either increase the timer or we can decrease the timer with this card. From the cards I'm seeing in their hands, I think I'm going to put those into my draw deck, and these are what we're actually going to put out there. I think I like this one, and I like, oh no, this is so tough. This one, oh, I'd like to be able to put modifying the track or being able to go ahead and put dice out. I think it'd be great. I'm going to go ahead and put these right here. Of course, I need a lot of dice to do them, so she might be going later in the turn, but then she can set up characters later on because this goes into their reserve, not their donated. So reserve can carry on into the next round. So Prudence is done. Let's go on to the next one. Next, we have Temperance. She's right here. Look at this. This is a really cool model, too. I painted her up purple and yellow. Because why not? Temperance is purple and yellow. We're going to go ahead and look at her dashboard really quick. Now, all the stuff up on top is the same across the board. But now she's really good at exploring. Notice she has an explore action here. She can also be placed on the board. And then she has an investigation where I can move 1 or 2 towards a token that is just like the one that is on the board that our traveler is trying to get to. So on the way back, this might be a great character to play. Of course, we got our 4 cards. Let's go ahead and mix those up, and we're going to go ahead and see which ones we want to keep. There's a set of 4. Here's a set of 4. Let's take a look. We've got Contemplation. Draw 3 cards from the top of the event deck. Place each card back on top or bottom of the deck. The event deck is going to be used for 2 different things. One, it's going to be used to seeing if we're actually able to make our skill checks. 2, it's also going to be what we draw from when those shadows enter our square, or it might be some other card or rule that makes us draw from it to have bad things happen to them, so we can kind of at least have a little bit of control over it. Introspection. Add or discard 1 darkness card. Oh, again, there we go. We can manipulate the timer. This allows us to place a mercy cube or a luck cube. Now, luck cube, like I said, allows us to kind of redraw our test, and the mercy cubes allows us to use it to take one of the dice that we need to get and use it to be able to satisfy part of a recipe. So we can go ahead and use those. Now, those are all going to be found up in the cloud, and I'll show you that in a second. Next, we have abstinence. Choose a virtue. That player may immediately resolve 1 card from their hand at no cost. Oh, that's really good. But look at this. 3 faith. You can't use a wild on it. And I have to lose 1 clarity. Okay, that's the first set of cards. Let's look at the second set of cards that she could have. She could have Inquisition. I can explore 5. I don't think we're going to be using that one. Composure. I can move the clarity track up. If she's on the board, it goes better. I can draw 2 blessings and place 1. Blessings, of course, I'll show you them in a second. They're also near our cloud. They're going to give us benefits that we can use anytime during the game. We also have perception, where I'm able to place 1 or 2 light if Solomon Kane is adjacent to one of these type of objective tokens. I'm going to go ahead and again, I think we're going to get rid of that one. I don't think I want that one. We're going to go ahead and try with some of this. We're going to go ahead and use lots of tough ones here. I think I like this one, and I do like this one. We can play anything. Oh, I like the mercy cubes. Let's go with the mercy cubes. I was thinking about the resolve one immediately for no cost, but that's a lot of faith. Maybe we can make that happen at some point. These, of course, are going to be our draw cards, and these are going to be in our draw pile, and this is our hand. I also have to go ahead and mix up Temperance's card, or sorry, Prudence's card. I might get some of these mixed up as we play through it, because I forgot to shuffle my, but when you do get done picking the cards you want, the ones you don't use, you have to shuffle the deck. Our final virtue we have to do is Justice, and here is Justice model. This is probably my favorite one. This looks awesome. I love the base that they made for her, and it's like she's just floating in mid-air. This is awesome. So this is Justice. I love the fact that she's got that blindfold on, just like Blind Justice. It's so cool. So she's going to be really good at talking, and her aura gives her +2 to a talk test. So she might be one we might want to get on the board. She has it right here, Reason. It gives her ability to talk. This puts her on the board, and this gives us an ability to place 1 light. Those are always, of course, available. We're now going to go ahead and take her cards, shuffle them up a little bit, and put them into 4 separate piles. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we got these 4. Let's see what these are going to be. We've got Brilliance. I can lose 1 Compassion to place 2 Light, which isn't bad. Now remember, I have Inspiration down here in Courage's space, which allows me to put Bravery on people. So there's one right there, which we might be able to use. Now again, we got a Talk 5 test. We've got this one that says, place all virtues on the board. This is Equilibrium. Place shadows on the board until there are 3 or until 4 are in play. And this is the order of the spawn tokens you go in. So you're putting all the shadows on the board and all the virtues on the board at the same time. That sounds amazing. Then we get +1 Compassion, or +2 if, of course, she's on the board. That's her first set of 4 cards. Her other set of 4 cards is going to be, can't be any better than that. 2 Mercy Cubes from Benevolence, pretty awesome. Influence gives us -1 Compassion, but we can place Light. We also have another one where Enlightenment, where we can go ahead and place Light on the board. Again, there's that Bravery symbol, which we might actually get. And Sympathy, we can just gain 1 Mercy Cube. Oh, wow. I think, wow, these are all really good. I'm going to go ahead and make that our draw deck. This is going to be our real deck. I'm going to go ahead and use this. I think I'm going to really try to see if we can get this to work. If I can get this to work with our Audacity card, it's going to be amazing. I could put all these virtues on the board and then kill all of our shadows. That would be really good. And what's the other one I want? Not Talk 5. I like the idea of placing 2 Light. Let's go ahead and put that there. 2 Light on her would give her an extra bonus to her talk test. These are going to be in our hand, and this now becomes our draw deck. Let's give this a little bit of a truffle shuffle here, and there we go. Justice is all set. All of our virtues are ready to go. There's only one thing left to get ready. And that's our cloud. I've gone ahead and put our mercy cubes and our luck cubes here. If at any time we gain any of these, we put them right up in the cloud. And this is something that persists at all times throughout the game. And you can use these on your turn when you either are taking a test for the luck cubes or when you're trying to create dice recipes and things with your virtues. Those are what they are. Now these, of course, are blessing tokens. There's a huge stack of tokens here that I've shuffled up and I've placed over here. Those, again, once we get them, we'll be going into the cloud and we can use them at any time. Blessings are really unique in the fact that, according to the rules, it just says, if you want to play a blessing, go ahead. They're trying to encourage the fact that this thing can be played almost at any time. They're not even really explaining when it can't be played. They're just saying, go ahead and play a blessing, unless I'm guessing a card or a rule tells us otherwise. We can even play them on the darkness turn, or we can play it when something's moving that's not us out of our sequence. We can play these according to the rules. It's a pretty interesting concept. They're just like, hey, they're blessings, go ahead and use them. Of course, we'll see how they work in the game. Most of them probably are going to be saying to you use on a turn, but I don't know, I've never seen any of these, so we'll see how it goes. I'm really panned out here just to show you a little bit, one, how much table space this takes up, and two, we need to go ahead and figure out the order of turn. Before we start, we have to decide the order that our virtues are going to go, and they're going to go in that order no matter what happens, and we're going to have to decide who wants to be first, second, third, or fourth. I'm going to start with temperance. Temperance is going to go first. Then we're going to go ahead and have courage go second. We're going to have prudence go third, and I'm going to have justice go fourth. That's, I think, going to be our turn order. Of course, after all four virtues have taken a turn, the end of the round has happened and we go into the next round, starting by placing those tokens yet again. So let's start with our first player, and that, of course, is going to be Temperance. Temperance has our first token, and we're going to go straight down our player aid to go in order of what we're supposed to do. So the first thing we have is our virtue turn. We're going to go ahead and have start of turn effects. We don't have any of those, so we're going to go ahead and roll our 3 dice. I'm going to take her 3 dice that are right here, just roll them up. I'm going to move this token over there, and I'm just going to roll them right up here on our board. And we've got 2 fear and 1 determination. So with these dice right here, if we move our player card, we don't have a lot we can do with these. So at this point, I can choose to flip one of these or re-roll one of these. So if I flip one, it's going to go to bravery. If I flip one of these, it's going to go to pain. They're always going to be like that. And of course, our faiths are always going to flip to faith. So with a bravery and a fear, I could go ahead and draw 3 cards on the top of the event deck and place them back in the order, therefore knowing what's coming. I could also decide to go ahead and explore X, but exploring isn't going to help us. We're really trying to move, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen because I did need a faith symbol in order to move, so I could re-roll one of our dice, but then again, I don't have my pain symbol. I can only re-roll 1. So the only thing I really have left I could do is I'm just going to go ahead and place Temperance on the board. What's better than having a bunch of virtues on the board? I can't think of much. So we're going to go ahead and place them just like that. Let's go ahead and continue down our card. We tried to flip or re-roll dice. We decided not to. Then we form our dice pool. And our dice pool are going to consist of the ones we rolled and anything from our donated and reserved portion of the board. We're going to allocate the dice to actions, donate and reserve any dice as wanted to. Again, I've allocated them here. I'm not donating or putting any in reserve. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and resolve the actions with the allocated dice, which is going to go ahead and put temperance. Temperance and prudence, I get mixed up all the time. Temperance is going to go onto the board. I can place this miniature anywhere on the board that I want to. I could place it over here, I could place it here, I could place it up here, wherever I wanted to. Now, of course, its aura is only going to affect the surrounding area, and its aura is +1 to explore, so it's not really going to help us. What I'm really using this virtue for is that if any shadow walks into its square, I can shockwave it and remove the shadow and remove the virtue. I know it seems like a steep cost of a whole turn to place this out here just to get one of these shadows, but these shadows are going to make us draw these event cards, and these event cards can be pretty tragic to whatever you're attempting to do. So it's best to not have to deal with any shadows. So I'm actually going to put her right here in hopes that this one maybe comes down and tries to engage with Solomon Kane. Because if this ever moves into the same spot as his, we will re-resolve one of the event cards, and it could be pretty bad. So that is going to be, I guess that's the end of Temperance's turn. With her activation complete, we're going to go to the end of turn effects and flip my turn order token. There are some end of turn effects that we have to take advantage of. The first one is that all of the characters out here, the humanoid characters, the mortals, are all seekers. So at the end of the virtue's turn, a seeker will move one area towards the nearest X, where X is either a specific miniature or a token. So we know that our villager is attempting to seek this token. So he's going to move one space towards that. But in order to do that, we also have to make sure that we don't have anything taking place on this card. Whenever a villager is in the same area as the traveler cannot move. There's nobody in his same area. They're in the surroundings, but not the area. So he is able to move one space. At this point, then, he has went and seeked his token. The villagers are going to seek the civilian or the traveler. So these are all going to move. He's going to move down here. These two are going to seek, and they're going to move the shortest path possible in order to get to him. So they have all moved. We still have the few down here. These three are also going to seek that traveler. Now that our end of turn effects have been completed, we're going to go ahead and flip her token. But when we did seek, I do want to mention that we're able to choose the order of the seeking, which is why I was able to move this guy before one of these guys could move into the square. Now, of course, in our next turn, if there is that character there, it will say at the end of each virtue turn, if there's at least one villager in the traveler's area, I'm going to have to deal with this. So, of course, I can resolve any of these at any time because they're all happening during the same exact moment in time. So I was able to seek that, then seek there. So we're okay. And I decided you could, I guess, activate this card before you even did any of that. Now, of course, this is also, I forgot to mention, a remains in play card. So this will remain in play for the entire scene, unless, of course, something comes up that makes that change. But for now, those are remaining in play. So that's how we're going to determine how this all activates. She's done. We're going to go ahead and flip her token to signify that she has finished her turn. Now that she is done, we are going to go ahead and move into the darkness turn. So our darkness turn is going to go ahead and activate. So it's going to resolve any omen cards. We don't have any omen cards. Of course, the story will tell us how we get some. Hopefully we never get them. They're pretty bad. Draw and resolve the top card of the darkness deck. So we're going to go ahead and draw our first darkness card. We're going to see what it says. Now the first part says, remove one light. Now notice there's a little storybook. That's only going to happen when you're doing a storybook event. We're doing a scene, so we're going to be using these down here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to check to see if there's anybody surrounding in his surroundings. And sure enough, there's some villagers, so we're going to see if any of those activate. It says sentries move 2, scouts move west 1, shadows move 1 to engage, and hunters fight 3. So none of these villagers have that keyword. They all have seeker as a keyword, so those aren't going to activate. The next one we're going to do is we're going to go out of his surroundings, and we're going to go ahead, because it would be just the ones adjacent would be his surroundings, and of course when he's standing in. So we're going to go out of the surroundings, and it says 1 scout searches, so there's not a search scout. The farthest scout moves 1, again we don't have any of those. And the westernmost scout, again no scouts. The furthest shadow moves 3 to threaten, and then 5 hunters move 1 and fight 3. Okay, so the furthest shadow, so this one's not even going to move. That's the furthest shadow. He's going to move 3 in order to go ahead and try to threaten Solomon Kane. Oh my gosh, this is going to work out way better than I thought. So this is going to move 1, 2 into here, and then 3 into our into Temperance's place. So as it moves in here, she's able to perform a shockwave, which will remove all the shadows that are in her surroundings. So this is way better than I was expecting. I was expecting just take care of this one. So she is removed from the board, but she did way better than I ever anticipated. And she was able to remove both the shadows, because even though this one didn't move, it was still in the surrounding area of the immortal virtue that was standing there, and this one moves right into it. And once it's there, there is one more thing I could do, just to let you know. Instead of shockwaving, which I don't know why I wouldn't, I could choose to back this up 1 square and say that it wasn't able to move in. But if I did that, I would take 1 danger. The danger would go up by 1. Instead, we're just going to remove the shadows. That's way better. Now, of course, we have to continue down the card. It does say Y. So we have to spawn one of these shadows again back up in Y. Now we can only have the number of shadows on the board equal to our threat value, which right now is 2 according to our danger. And that is located right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 shadows can be on the board. Right now our danger is at 4, so we only can ever have up to 2 shadows on the board. Right now it's only 1 because that was the best awesome thing that's ever happened. So we're doing really good. Let's go ahead and move into our second turn. Before we go into the second turn, there are a couple things I want to talk about. I'm not actually going to do them, but you have these options. So we have our left and right hand. During this turn, after we're done, we could choose to discard anything from our left and right hand and replace it with what is in our hand here. Also, when you do replace these cards, you would then draw back up to 2 virtue cards. Now, I didn't really go into that because I'm not doing that. I like the cards I have in my left and right hand, and I don't have to worry about, so I don't have to be drawing any cards or anything. So now we're going to go into Courage's turn. Moving into Courage's turn, we're going to go ahead and start with our turn effects. There's none, so we're going to go ahead and roll our 3 dice and see what we get. We need to get some good rolls. We got Bravery and Faith. Okay, this actually might be okay. We'll see how this goes. Okay, I got a Bravery here. I can go ahead and move him 1 space, which is going to be great. Now, the other thing I could do, I could remove all shadows from the board because I could use the 2 Bravery and that Faith as another Bravery to do it. The other thing I could do is I could make this there. I can flip. Oh, I have to flip one of these dice. These are Bravery symbols, not fear symbols. So at this point, I can choose to flip or re-roll a die. I don't think we're going to do that. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, flip this to Bravery, flip that to Faith, or keep that as Faith. We're going to have an extra Bravery. So at this point, I could donate this dice, or I could put it in my reserve and use it in the next round. I really feel that I think I'm going to go ahead and donate this. I'm going to donate this over to, I think we're going to give it to Justice. Justice really wants that. So Justice is going to go ahead and grab the Bravery die, and we're going to go ahead and resolve this action. But let's make sure we go through the turn order like we do. I kind of went a little bit faster. Reroll or flip a die. We did that. We flipped that to Fear. Then we're going to form our dice pool, which would be all the dice we had plus anything there. We're going to allocate our dice. We're going to donate and reserve, put in reserve. Then we're going to also resolve, actions and allocate dice. So we're going to go ahead and resolve this right here, which is going to be a move 1 action. We're going to go ahead and move Solomon Kane up 1 space, so at least he's in the surrounding area of our traveler. Hopefully next time we can try to help him out, because right now we're not able to because I had to allocate the dice for movement, and I couldn't do a fight test to target this area, which is really too bad. At this point, I can go ahead and choose if I want to get rid of either of these cards. And again, I think we're going to keep the cards we have in our left and right hand. And we're going to go ahead and move into our end of turn actions. Super panned out view, but we have to use our seekers that are going to seek. Now, the first thing we have to do, of course, is at the end of each virtue turn, if there is at least 1 villager in the traveler's area, I'm going to lose 1 compassion, and I have to place 1 damage onto our traveler. So here's our 1 damage on the traveler, and that's the end of that. I will be moving the track in just a second. The next thing we have to do is we have to seek. So he's going to go ahead and seek, but he can't seek the token because there's a villager in his space. So the rest of these villagers are just going to go ahead and attempt to get into his square. And they're all going to seek up like this. Oh, look at this, it's like a mob. This is really cool. So it's actually really making a mob of people going after this poor traveler here. So that's the end of our seeking. And that's the end of, I guess, our whole turn. So we're done there. We're going to go ahead and move into the darkness. Let's go ahead and draw our next darkness card and move our compassion up. Or sorry, our compassion goes down. We have found, well, the -1 strength is not going to happen, and we don't have any of these in our surroundings. The only thing, we have scouts, hunters, and shadows. None of them are in the surroundings. So let's go down to this one. Sentry moves 3, the easternmost scout moves 2 west, southernmost scout moves 1 north, closest shadow moves 1 to threaten, and hunters move 1, and 3 hunters move 1. So the only thing we have here is the closest shadow moves 1 to threaten, and we have to spawn another shadow at Y. Oh, barf. So this shadow moves 1 to threaten, and then we have to place another shadow right here, right back in Y. So there's pouring out of this garden area next to this. Yeah, it must be an evil house over there or something. So we're going to go ahead now into our next turn because our darkness card has been resolved. Let's make sure by checking the rest of the darkness card steps here that we didn't do anything wrong. The virtue at the next turn order token starts their turn, otherwise the round ends. So we do have another virtue. Let's go ahead and take our 3rd virtue's turn. Our 3rd one is, of course, Prudence. I should probably move the cards over here in my hand so that I can read these so I don't get Prudence and Temperance all mixed up. All right, I've got them mixed up twice already. We're going to go ahead and move into her turn. She doesn't have any starter turn effects, so we're just going to go ahead and roll her 3 dice. I really want some good roll here. Let's see how we do. Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I needed. Oh, I can't believe I got so lucky. Okay, so we've got lots of awesome things. We have so many good things we can do. This is like the perfect roll. So we have, let me show you what I can do. I can go ahead and flip this. That would give me the ability to put 1 light onto any virtue's dashboard, including her own. So I could go ahead and give her 1 light, allowing her to move 1 virtue in 1 space, which would be herself because she's right there. That's one option I have. She's already on the board, so I can't do that. The other option I have is, since this is pain, again, I could flip it over here, and we could go ahead and do charity, which allows me to take 4 dice from the supply and allocate them to the virtue reserves as you choose, and each virtue decides the result of any allocated die. I could give 2 dice to justice, I could give 2 dice to courage, and in their next turns, they would have so many dice. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. And it's so tempting, but I think virtue already has 1 dice, and I think that's going to be okay. I'm actually going to go with this maneuver here. The reason I am is I want to put this out here, and again, those shadows are creeping up. Maybe we can shockwave them and get them out of there. Oh, is that really worth it? Because I'd lose prudence from the board. Or do I really? This charity is so good. I decided if you have it, use it. We're going to go ahead and give charity a shot. Hopefully that's not a bad idea. I'm going to use charity, which means I get to take 4 dice from the supply and allocate them to the virtue reserve as you choose. Each virtue decides the result of any allocated dice. Oh my gosh, this is going to be absolutely amazing. So I'm going to put this into my discard pile, which I guess that's probably why I put them here. I need a discard pile. It's right there. And we're going to go ahead and activate this. Oh, this is going to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this light because we decided not to do that action. So let's decide what dice we need for who. Justice is going to go ahead as a no-brainer and take 2 bravery and put them into reserve. Maybe I can fire off audacity if I'm lucky enough. Justice is going to take the exact recipe to be able to do a talk action. That's going to be her plan. So I'm going to go ahead and give her these 2 symbols there so she can do the talk. Of course, if I can get enough dice to be able to make that fire off, that's going to be awesome. And I'm definitely going to make her go first, because if she can get the next, there's so many awesome possibilities here. So she still hasn't gone yet, which is why it's so good at how many dice she has. Since we have an open slot in our left hand, I'm going to go ahead, look through our cards, and decide which one we want. Move 1, I think, is going to be our plan here. We're going to put move 1 in there. I get to draw a new card. She now has insight, which means I can add or subtract a darkness card from the deck. We're going to move into our end of turn steps. Again, we have villagers in with our traveler, so he's going to take a damage and cannot move. It's getting a little dicey. He only has 4 health. Hopefully we can keep him at bay. She's going to seek. She's going to seek. He's going to seek, and he's going to seek. All of them are in Solomon's Square. That's pretty interesting. These guys are already there, so this one's just going to move in. Oh man, this is pretty nuts. I've got it. Now, of course, we're set up for our next turn with Justice, who can hopefully do a talk test no matter what, which will hopefully be able to clear this out, or at least maybe help him move into this square where more guys are. I don't know if that's be a good plan. We'll see how it goes. We're going to go now into our darkness turn, because I have to go ahead and flip our 3rd token, and now we're going to draw our 3rd card. Let's see what our card is. It says -1 danger. Of course, that's that. Now, we do have one threatening us in the surrounding area, one of our shadows. It says sentry moves 2, scout searches, and hunter fights. So the shadow's not even going to move? Well, that's awesome. Next, we have sentry moves 2, farthest scout, western scout. Closest shadow moves 1 to threaten, and then all hunters move 1 and fight. So none of that's going to do anything. This is going to move into this square, and that's all that's going to happen. It's going to move 1 to threaten. Now, of course, we look at the bottom here, we're going to be spawning 1 in Y again. But that's not going to happen because we we have 2 shadows on the board and we can't have any more. Wow, absolutely amazing. It is now time for the power of Justice. Look at this. I think we've set Justice up pretty good, and hopefully she can pull off a miracle here. 4th player activating is going to be Justice. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to get everything underway here. We have some dice in reserve. We have a donated die. We've got lots of good stuff going on. We just have to roll our dice and see what we get. There's no beginning of turn effect, so let's see what happens. We got a faith, a fear, and a bravery symbol. So that is what we have. At this point, we can now choose to flip or re-roll 1 die. So let's take a look at all the possibilities that we have. Our options are many. We could go ahead and do our reason test with these 2 dice. We could even get equilibrium going with this faith symbol here, which is pretty awesome. I could put light on the board. I could pretty much do anything I want. The problem is I kind of want to do both of these at the same time, and I don't know if I can do that with what I've rolled. So let's go ahead first and match up what we want to do. So we want to do this, and we want to do this. So at this point, what I need to do is I need to re-roll this bravery symbol and hope to get, oh my gosh, I either have to get a pain. Oh no, let's see if we can do this. Okay, I'm going to re-roll this die and hope for a miracle. Here we go. Oh, we got it. Yes, look at that. It's a miracle. Oh, Justice, you're awesome. All right, I'm going to go ahead. This is going to be so cool. I'm going to go ahead and do these 2 actions. So I've gone ahead, done my re-roll and my flip. I've now formed my dice pool, which is all the dice that we have available to us. We're now going to go ahead and allocate our dice to the actions and donate and reserve dice. We're then going to resolve actions with the allocated dice. So I'm going to go ahead and activate this one first. This one is the awesome one. This is the one that says place all virtues on the board and place shadows on the board until there are 4 in place, starting with X, Y, Z, and then X. So let's go ahead and take care of this first. When you place virtues out on the board, you also cannot make sure to place them on another place in the immortal. So I can't put another one here. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to put courage here, justice here, and I'm actually going to put her right here. The reason I'm going to do that, my explanation is that these two are going to be able to give the aura to Solomon Kane for fights and talk actions. I'm hoping to use her as a shield for Solomon Kane from all of these shadows that are coming out onto the board. According to our card, we have to place one in X, Y, Z, and X. Now, there's already 2 on the board, so the only one we have to do is X and Y. So we'll put Y back up here, and X is down at the bottom of the board where our token is, but that one is now in play. So we have 4 shadows on the board. Justice is on the board. She's done her first, resolved one of her cards. Let's go ahead and resolve the rest of them. I'm going to go ahead and discard this now that we've resolved that card. And the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and do that talk action. So we're going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to get +2 to this action because I am in the surrounding area of our aura. Solomon Kane is right around our virtue, so he's going to gain +2 to this test. According to our card, we're going to go ahead and I can allow our virtues to target villagers with the following actions, talk or fight. I'm going to go with a talk test using the +2 from here into the aura, and I'm going to target these villagers up here. Hopefully we can try to save our, with this traveler, we're going to try to save him. Now, each of these that are threatening us are going to not modify this test by -1. So we're actually at -2 to this test. So the 2 negative are going to counteract the aura. Now we do have our compassion stat, and it is sitting at a 7, so I'm going to be getting +1. So I need to beat the number of villagers that are in that square. Less than X, I'm going to do this. If it's more than X, so it's not meet or beat, I have to actually beat that. So we're going to take our event card. We're going to flip this event card, and we're going to see some numbers on it right down here. Now these represent 3 different types of people taking tests. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. We're right back here. So if you are a crowd or rabble, you're going to go ahead and go on the very left side, so you're getting a 1. If you are called a champion or a villain, you're going to be going from the middle row, and it also shows you kind of the range of the values and also your most common result. If you are the hero or a nemesis, you're going to be going from the right number, and that means you can get from 1 to 7. Your most common value is a 4. Solomon Kane, unless otherwise told, he is always the hero. So we got a 5 for this. +1 is 6, and that is more than the villagers that they have in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and look at our card and tell us what card to pull. We are going to go to more 1, 1. Oh, that's the fight test. We have to talk test is 1104. The voice of reason. Solomon's words strike a chord with the crowd, and he underlines this message with a shot in the air, causing the mob to rethink their course of action. So we're going to go ahead and take advantage of what is on this card. First, it says all virtues place 1 in their reserve and remove 1 damage from the traveler. Oh, that's fantastic. Then look down here. It says roll 1 dice for each villager in the same area as the traveler. Move each villager 1 area in the direction as indicated below. That's going to be fantastic. So we're going to go ahead, give all of our virtues this die, and then I'm going to start rolling to see where these people go. Courage has an interesting predicament. Courage could go ahead and take this die, but you would have to get rid of one of those 2 from the reserve. I'm actually going to keep those 2. I'm not going to gain this die. We're just going to forego that. I can choose to do that if I want to. I'm going to keep those 2. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and remove 1 damage from our traveler, and we're going to start rolling to see where these villagers go. We're going to start with that one up there. He got across, so I get to choose where I want. He's going to go south, or north, sorry. We're going to go again with the next person. That person is going to move east, north, south, east. If we look at our compass rose, it's right over there. So that means he's going to actually move over there. The next one is going to be her. She's going to move south. Oh, no, she's coming in here. And then our next one is going to move... Oh, I can choose. We're going north there again because I don't want him anywhere near this guy. All right, that's the end of our talk action. And this doesn't have any type of remains in play on it, so it's just going to go right back to the deck. With that action resolved, we're going to go ahead, continue on down, It says place new action cards, draw up to 2 cards, and then we do our end of turn effects. So here are the 2 cards we have. Let's see what we want to place down. I could talk 5, or I could go ahead and gain compassion. She's on the board. Let's go ahead and put that one out. And I get to draw a new card, and we have this one, Enlightenment. I can go ahead and place a light if I get those 2 symbols. All right, that's our new hand, and this is our new card. Super cool. All right, she's done. I'm just going to flip her token now, though I still have to do the end of turn effects actually before I do flip that and move on. Our end of turn effects are going to see our villager move. So he's going to go ahead and seek. He's going to seek the token, so he's going to move into this square. And he's going to go ahead and bring his damage with him. And he is going to not have to worry about the crowd, because the crowd can go first. And it says, whenever there is a villager in the same area as the traveler cannot move. There was not, so he could choose to move. After the end of each virtue turn, if there is at least 1 villager in the traveler's area, I get -1 compassion, and I also take 1 damage. Well, at the end of our virtue's turn, this is what it looked like. Now we're going to go ahead and move him down here, so he is seeking. These people, of course, are going to seek him, so he's going to come in, and these 2 are going to come south. And that's the end, and she's still going to remain in that square as well. There is a rule about how many mortals you can have in a square, and that, I believe, is equal to the amount of space it can be taken up, and you could still have at least up to about half a base still left in here. If that ever happens, we'll worry about it, but I'm hoping that I can get him this way faster than all these people all being in the same space. Since they're all in the same space, which they almost are, things are going to get really bad really fast. So that is our end of turn effects. It is time for us to draw our darkness card. So let's go ahead and see what the evil darkness is going to do to us. Of course, it's not a story. We do have 2 people that are in the surrounding areas. Let's go ahead and see. Sentries, shadows. 1 shadow moves 1 to engage, hunters fight 2. All right, so this one is going to go ahead and move 1 and engage. I'm going to go ahead and shockwave both of them off the board again, removing her, which is going to be awesome. So now I don't have to worry about those 2. Now let's see what happens with the bottom part of our card. The bottom part says scouts move, northernmost scout, farthest shadow moves 2 to threaten, and the hunters and then hunters. So our farthest shadow is actually 1, 2. It's the one in the south, so it's going to move itself up to here. So it's right next to Solomon Kane. And unless I can get a virtue into his square, this one next turn might be able to get in and actually do something terrible to him. We are going to spawn another one at Z, but there are 2 shadows on the board, and that is our threat limit, so we don't have to worry about spawning anything. That is the end of our 4th turn. We have completed 1 full round of Solomon Kane, and we're going to move now into the next round. Before we move into the next round, there is one correction I need to make. I believe I'm supposed to have a 6 in compassion, meaning I shouldn't have gotten that extra point when we did our check to see if we were able to talk to the villagers. I still drew a 5, and there were only 4 villagers there, so the outcome would have been the same, but he has taken 2 hits from our villagers, which every time he does, he has to lose a compassion. So he's down to 6 from what I understand. I could be wrong, and if I am, we'll make sure to adjust this track again. At this point, we're going to start a new round, so we're going to have to go ahead and decide the order of our virtues. The one who's going to get the number 1 token is going to be Courage. Then we're going to give the number 2 token over here to Prudence. Justice is going to take number 3, and I think we're going to get Temperance number 4. That's going to be the order in which our virtues are going to take their turns. So let's go ahead and start with Courage. The way we look at Courage here is we have 2 Bravery. I'm kind of hoping for this card and this. Let's see if we can pull that off. We're going to roll our 3 dice. We don't have any beginning of turn effects. Let's roll them up. We've got, we did it. Wow, we did it again. Okay, this is amazing. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We are going to flip, because now I can choose to flip or re-roll 1 die. I'm going to flip this to Bravery. I'm going to use my Faith to go ahead and take those 2 slots, because now we're going to gain our dice pool, which is right here. Now I get to allocate my dice. We're going to go ahead and do it like this. That is going to be awesome. Look at this. This is exactly what we needed to do. I can remove all shadows from play. Then I get to go ahead and do my fight test. So this shadow that's even threatening Solomon Kane isn't even going to affect him. That was the most perfect roll yet again. Oh, our virtues are on fire. We're going to remove these shadows, so we've completely removed them all from the board. That's awesome. Now we're going to go ahead and do our fight test. So we have to go ahead and look at this. It says fight less than X. I read D1110, or X is or more is 1111. Why, I feel like I'm speaking binary. All right, we're going to go ahead and see how we have to do. We have to beat the number of villagers in this square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6. So we have to get a 7 or better. Now I get +2 because the aura of courage is right here, and I have +1 on my track. So we actually have to pull only a 4 or better in order to beat this. Let's go ahead and see how we do. Our event card, he has a 5 again. Okay, that means we got 7, 8, which is enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We totally did it. We were able to beat our fight test, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at our binary 11111. A clear message. Kane grabs a villager who tries to rush past him and forcefully tosses him back into the crowd. The villager crashes onto the ground in a heap. Kane's message is loud and clear. So at this point, all of our virtues are going to place a bravery symbol into their reserve. I get to remove a villager in Solomon Kane's surroundings from the board. Then I roll 1 die for each villager in the same area as the traveler. Move each villager 1 area in the direction as indicated below. So just the same as when we did our talk test. But I do get to remove a villager and we get a bravery. Courage successfully used this card, so we're going to go ahead and remove that one. I then get to go ahead and place a new card in her right hand. So we got Fortitude. I can get 2 luck, or I can move 1. That might not be bad. I think we're actually going to go with the luck, though. I'm going to place that back up here, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a new card. This is the one where you get strength. If I'm on the board, I get 2. Otherwise, I get +1. We're now going to move into our end of turn effects. He's going to go ahead and move since there's nobody in his square, so we don't have to worry about taking the 1 compassion and gaining a token. These guys are going to seek him, so they're going to move back into his square like that. Oh man, I gotta talk my way out of the next one. And these are all gonna move down here. Actually, I can't. I don't think I put Justice next. That's okay. We're gonna go ahead and that's the end of our the end of turn effect. So now we're just going to go ahead and flip her token and move into the darkness turn. So we're going to go ahead and grab our next darkness card and see what happens to us. I'm going to flip it over, and of course nothing happens here, and I'm going to bet nothing happens at all. There are no shadows on the board. They don't have any hunters, so we're just going to spawn 1 at Z. Z is located right over here. So we're going to put our shadow in that square. He's going to be all set to come at us soon. Prudence is going to go next. I kind of wish it was Justice, but this is how we laid out our characters. We're going to see how this goes. Now, Prudence does have a few things in reserve. We're going to roll up our dice so we don't have any beginning of turn effects. Let's see what we get. We got a faith and a fear. Okay, this could be okay. Let's see what we can do with it. Here's what we're going to do. I have a plan. We're going to go ahead and get our dice pool. Now, of course, I can flip or re-roll any one of these, and I'm actually in the aura, so I could re-roll an extra one or flip an extra one if I want to. What we're going to do is we're going to flip this to bravery. This is going to be the plan. Hopefully it goes okay. We're going to take our other bravery here in this symbol, and we're going to go ahead and donate, or not donate, but we're going to use these 3, I think, right here. This is what we're going to do. We're going to use these 3 to activate a talk test. Yes, you can do that. We can activate a talk test, and I'm also going to move. At any time, you can use the middle section of any virtues card by paying the cost of that action, which is these 2 symbols, and any other die to be able to do it. So it's kind of like you're spending this extra die to be able to do their actions. And of course, I'm also going to move 1 as well. We're going to move Solomon Kane. So let's go ahead and do all of this. I'm hoping this goes pretty good. I'm hoping for a talk test to be fantastic. Just to show you what I mean, here is Justice Talk Test. It takes those 2 symbols, and then here's my extra die to be able to go ahead and do this action. Our talk test does mean I have to beat this by 2. I'm in Justice's aura. Now, something I'm not sure about is if the aura still is effective, even though she's not the one doing the test. I believe it would, because the aura always is activated from what I would understand. We're going to go ahead, flip over our next event card, and see if we're able to get those 2 villagers out of there. We got a 3 plus 2 is 5. So a 3 came at a pretty good time because there's not many villagers here. So we were able to complete our talk test with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in theory with her here. If not, we still would have got the 3, so we would have been okay. Please let me know in the comments below if you're always able to activate these auras. From what I understand, you are. And if I don't, I'll make sure to make a note. That is the end of our talk test. We're going to go ahead and resolve our card. We've seen the card, I believe, before. It is D1104. We're going to go ahead and take a look at it again. Yes, we have. All virtues gain 1 of these in their reserve, and we get to remove a damage from our traveler. That's fantastic. He's now at no damage, and now we get to roll to see where these villagers go. So I'm going to take my dice, and hopefully they all move north or anywhere but where this guy is. We're going to go ahead and roll for her first. You got, oh good, I can move her wherever I want. I'm going to move her north. I know that means all these people are coming down, but that's all I can do. We're going to roll for that guy, and we got a north. He's going to go north too. They're all hanging out with Solomon Kane. They're having a party over here with Solomon Kane. Maybe he's doing something real cool that they're all coming up to see. All right, so that means he is safe inside there. We do get to do a move action as well. So now Solomon Kane's leaving the party and he's coming down here. That way, as we continue forward, I can hopefully continue on doing tests down here. That is going to be the end of our virtues turn. Of course, I still have to do cards and things like that, but we're going to do that after we're done here. Just for filming purposes, we're going to go to the end steps of these things. So we're going to go ahead, take our traveler, move him down here. He's going to seek the token, and these people are all going to seek him. Yes, that's right, Solomon Kane. They're all in your square yet again. The big old party, here it comes. They are all running after this guy. Look at this mob just chasing this guy out of town. That is going to be it. Let's go ahead and finish up the rest of Prudence's turn. Prudence is going to go ahead and discard that card and put another card into play. Let's see what we have. Insight. Oh, this is going to be really good. I'm going to take an insight one. Though placing light is also really good. I think we're going to do that. We're going to go with gratitude. I can go ahead and remove one from any location and a faith die, or any of our tracks, I apologize, or to gain a light along with using a faith card here, or faith die. We'll go ahead and draw our next card. We have altruism. Choose any virtue and resolve any one of their available actions for free. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. All right, we're going to put that there. I'm going to turn her token over. She was able to gain this from that event. Temperance and Justice also are able to gain one of these, but they're not going to. They have their 2 reserves already filled up with this symbol and our bravery symbol, so they don't really want to get 2 of these. I have some plans that involve the bravery symbol. That's the end of Prudence. We're going to move into our darkness turn. We're going to draw our next darkness card, and this could be really bad. Justice is not in the greatest position right now because this guy could come running down this way, and I'll have to either do a shockwave or take a danger in order to keep this thing from coming down towards Solomon Kane. Of course, it might not move. We'll see how it goes. I bet you it's going to move. All right, there's nothing that is threatening us right now, so we're going to totally skip this one. We're just going to write down here. Sentries move 2, closest scout, farthest scout. The farthest shadow moves 3 to engage. Oh, that's terrible. All right, so this thing's going to move 1, 2, 3 to engage Solomon Kane unless I want to go ahead and deal with it. At this rate, I think sadly I am going to perform the shockwave. I'd set our characters up pretty poorly. That was my fault. Of course, I didn't know he was going to spawn there, but I should have actually maybe put it in the square. I can have these in these squares. I didn't have to put it over here. I could have put it right there. But alas, Justice is back on her board. So I'm not going to get the +2 aura to be able to do help with the Hawk test. But we did get to get rid of our shadow. He's not going to be threatening or engaging Solomon Kane, which is really good because some of these events are really bad. For example, the one I just drew all says this. 1 virtue removes all dice from their reserve. Barf. 1 virtue removes 1 donated dice. Oh, even worse. And look at this. -1 clarity, strength, or compassion for each shadow and Solomon Kane surrounding, but I do get to play something. So some of these do give you some added benefits for all the bad things they do. I don't like any bad things. We're not going to do any bad things with Solomon Kane. So that's the end of our darkness step. We're now going to go into our 3rd person's turn, which sadly is Justice, who is not on the board. Even though Justice is not on the board, she can still do some cool things. We're going to go ahead and roll our die. I don't have any beginning of turn effects, so let's go ahead and see what we get out of this. Well, we got a lot of, oh no, fear. Fear isn't going to help her too much. Let's see what we can do with it. We're going to go ahead and actually flip this to a bravery symbol. Got a lot of them. And we're going to go ahead and use these 2 over here to get 2 light onto her board. That's going to be one of the things we do. Since we seem to be doing some talking, let's go ahead and give her some light. This is going to give her +2 to the talk test when we do it. And check it out. I've got my talk test right here. We're going to go ahead and set that like that. And I'm going to put this into my reserve. The reason I'm not going to donate it is because I don't think I'm going to be able to do too much with our 4th character, which is Temperance. With this die, she's already got 2 locked already, and being able to keep this in her reserve might help out for the future turns. So let's go ahead. I'm going to discard this card. We're going to do this right here. Well, I'm not going to look at the, I've got my 2 cards. I know what they are. We're going to go ahead and just slot our next card just while we're sitting here. I'm going to put in this one, and we're going to go ahead and keep our talk 5. I'm going to take my next card. Now, of course, I do know what this is, but that's okay. And then we'll go to the board and complete our talk test and do the darkness step. We've got benevolence. I can go ahead and gain 2 of those mercy cubes, which isn't too bad. I'm going to flip her token 2 to prove that she's done. Now, of course, she's not. We have to still do our talk test, and we have to do our end of turn effects in order to continue going. And then we're going to do our darkness step. So to do our talk test, we have to go ahead and target a villager. I'm going to target this guy. We're going to go ahead and draw our event card and see what we get. We got a 4, plus I get +2 from my light, so that's 4, 5, 6. We're able to talk this guy out of here. So again, all of our characters are going to gain one of those symbols, and we can go ahead and put that in our reserve if we want, and we might as well. Of course, the two that aren't going to take it is going to be temperance and courage, because they already have some pretty good slotted dice as it is. Now we're going to go ahead and roll to see where that guy goes. Let's check it out. He gets that symbol. It means he is going to go, oh, he's going to go south. That's amazing. He went south. All right, not the end of the world. We are going to go ahead and then continue on by going to our end of turn steps, which means he's going to seek out this token, and they're all going to seek him. Look at, here they come. Roar, this whole mob coming at them. It's pretty awesome. Now, of course, one thing I did forget to talk about is, again, there was no spawn on our darkness card that I drew. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. This is going to get discarded, and I believe that is the end of our first chapter, because we did make it to our objective here. He was attempting to seek that token. We have two outcomes. The traveler reaches the token, we proceed to 4A. Otherwise, proceed to 4B. Now, before we do this, you do have to go all the way till the end of turn, which means I did have to do all the cards, flip my token, but we do not resolve a darkness step, because that would be the second part of the turn. So let's go ahead and continue to 4A. 4A brings us actually to a story chapter. Now, this is different from the first one, where the first one was just pick something. That's not going to come into play here. We actually have to illuminate Solomon Kane's path by going through this story chapter and gaining light from our virtues. So we're going to go ahead and read through this and then look at our special rules, what we need for our outcome, the darkness cards, and of course the discovery cards that are in play. So we're going to start with Into the Forest. Solomon Kane and the man in stocks run until their breath comes in ragged gasps, torn furnace fiery from their bellowing lungs. Despite his handicap, the stocks locked around his head and wrists, the man shows impressive stamina, keeping up with the Puritan, who is at the peak of physical fitness and endurance. They soon lose the villagers in the forest as the shadows of night draw longer and the full moon begins to rise overhead. Ahead lies a small hut. Light glows within, and there is a small garden out with, growing many varieties of herbs. More plants adorn the exterior in trestles, hanging baskets, and window boxes. Kane hammers on the door, and they are ushered in by an elderly man who introduces himself as Etienne. Etienne? I hope it is. Probably not, but we're going to go with it. A master herbalist. The prisoner in stocks stands silently glaring around the room, while Kane recounts to Etienne the events of the evening. Etienne regards the fellow and strokes his chin, harumphing. Yes, I have heard of such a thing, monsieur. Of late, there have been reports of lycanthropy coming from Calais and the surrounding area. This man has the look, but to prove it, we will require silver. Then, seemingly in answer to his own request, Etienne produces a silver coin and says to Kane, "Hold him." The only special rule that's in effect is when a player places light, they may choose to get -1 compassion to place another light. Like I said before, to illuminate Solomon's path is our goal. Now we're going to go ahead and go through our virtues turn, attempting to put light on this path. If we are only able to get 2 light by the end of the darkness's turns and we move into the next area, we're going to go ahead and go down the dark path, which usually makes it a little bit tougher or harder for us. If we're able to get 3, 4, or 5, we have actually illuminated Solomon's path. And at 3, we're able to adjust our tracks by 1. 2, if we're able to get 4, we adjust it by 2, and if we're able to get the whole thing filled, we get to adjust our track by up to 3 things. We could lower danger or gain 1 to any of our actual attributes. We do get to start with 4 darkness cards, and we also start with discovery card 111, 100 in play. I believe this is a mistake, or it might be something that is going to be used down the line, which is why they want it to keep on remaining in play. It's his steed. But reading through this card, I've read it. there isn't anything that's going to happen for this story chapter that can be done on this card. So this card is actually irrelevant. We're going to put it to the side and keep it out. It remains in play though for this chapter, but I want you to know we're not going to be using it at all. Instead, we are going to go ahead and build our 4-card darkness desk. That's right, we have 4 cards. That's it. That's all we have to try to illuminate this path for Solomon Kane. We're going to go ahead, give our darkness deck here a truffle shuffle, and get these cards all mixed up so we can get 4 new cards out on that board. Let's go ahead and put them out. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. That is our timer. We only have 4 turns to do this. And on top of that, you'll notice that I still have the token over here flipped over on Justice. You persist into the next chapter based on what you have already. So we already still have these reserved dice. We also have our light from our last chapter, and wherever we are in our turn order is what we continue until we actually complete the whole virtues round and move into the next round. Also at this moment, we return all of our virtues back to their board, so we're not going to gain any aura effects because they are all on the board. Like I said, I do get to keep my reserve here. So I'm going to go ahead and roll up Temperance and see what we get. We're going to, hopefully, well, it's not much. I need light, and this isn't going to give me any light, but maybe she can donate some dice to help out another person. All right, we've got these symbols. We'll see what we can do with them. We're going to go ahead and place these 2 here. I'm going to flip this to Bravery and donate this to Justice. So Justice is now going to gain a Bravery die. I'm also, what am I doing to do with these? I'm going to give this to Courage. We're going to donate that to Courage. And then we're going to go ahead and place this one here as a question mark, giving myself a luck cube and a mercy cube to put into the cloud. And I can, of course, use this to cover any one of these spaces. So hopefully that, if we roll poorly, I could still maybe get some light out onto the board. With that complete, we're going to go ahead and discard that card, flip her token, but go ahead and put down some other cards here. We're going to go, what's this one? Choose a virtue that player may immediately resolve 1 card from their hand at no cost. Wow, but I need 3 faith. That's pretty good. I'm going to put that down. Oh, I could add or discard 1 darkness card. That's really good too, especially in these story chapters. Being able to add darkness cards can potentially give you the edge in something like this, because now we'd be going to 5 turns, giving us a chance at more light. Of course, the darkness could be evil and take that light from us, but oh, this is so tough. These are both really good. Be able to play a card from your hand. That could be really good. I think we're going to go with this one though. Hold on to that one and grab our next card. We have Perception, place 1 light or 2 light. Oh, that would be so good. I wish that was out on the board, but it's not. All right, it's going to go there. Now, of course, I could discard this one as well, which actually I might do to allow me to be able to place that one down as well. I can't place that one because I just drew it, but that way I can go ahead and get another card. What's this? Draw 2 blessings and place 1. Oh, blessings are amazing. Blessings are kind of like boons that you're going to gain that you can use for pretty much whatever it says at any time, which is pretty awesome. So that's the end of Temperance's turn. I've gone ahead and flipped her token. We do have to do a darkness turn now. Let's see what the darkness does to us. Hopefully not too much. Now, of course, we do have to abide by this. All virtues discard their right hand action card. Okay, hopefully that's not going to be too bad. That's this one. Oh no, that's this one. That's that one we really liked. I'm going to lose this one from Prudence, and I'm going to lose this one from Justice, or Courage, I mean. So we've lost some decent cards, but that's okay. Now, these don't restock until, of course, their turn is over. So Temperance is going to be without this card until her turn comes back around and she can place another one out there, or some other effect allows us to place cards. Being that that is all of our turns, we're going to go ahead, take back our tokens, and divvy them out and to the virtues in the turn order we want. The order I've gone with this time is we're going to go Courage first, followed by Prudence, then we're going to go ahead and have Justice go, and last is going to be Temperance. But of course, this will probably be done by the time it's Temperance's turn, unless somehow I can get a darkness card. We have to get at least 3 light onto the board, and hopefully I have a plan, starting with Courage, hopefully donating some dice to the only 2 people that have the ability to get light on the board as it is. I didn't set myself up very well for a chapter test. Actually, at the end, when you get near the end of any type of the story events, either the scene or the story chapters, a good thing to do is try to think about what might be coming next so that you can get some cards into the left and right hand that can potentially get you light if you're going into a story chapter, or of course get you set up to be able to put your get your tests ready going into a actual scene chapter. Of course, I didn't know what was coming next, and I don't see why I wouldn't think it would be a chapter because we just get in with a scene, but of course you never know what's going to come back to back in this game. That's our turn order. Let's go ahead and start with Justice and hopefully keep on going forward. Courage has a ton of dice, but sadly I had to discard my Fortitude card, which is something I thought I was actually going to maybe shoot for in this turn. We're going to go ahead and roll our dice and see what we get. We got some face symbols. This is exactly what I need to be donating. Oh, this is going to be awesome. All right, we are going to do some awesome things. Let's see how this goes. The only thing Courage can really do in the story chapter at this point is help by giving people inspiration. She can place 2 bravery dice into the reserve of a virtue of your choice. So I'm going to go ahead and place these into a virtue of our choice. I'll go do that in a second. We have to deal with what we're going to do with the rest of our dice. Since we're not going to be fighting anything, moving, or placing her on the board, we're going to donate some dice. I've got 3 awesome dice right here to donate, and I'm going to put those back into our reserve. And also, we should take a look at what she has, because maybe she might want one of these in reserve once we get done with this chapter test. I think we're okay with what she has. That's going to be okay. So we're going to donate these, and we're also going to go ahead and give these to a virtue of our choice. We're going to give Prudence one of our faith dice, Temperance our bravery die, and I'm also going to give her the 2 from Courage itself, and Justice is going to gain the other faith die. With that completed, we're going to go ahead, discard our card, and place our 2 new cards out onto the board. And then we're going to draw 2 new cards. We have gotten Vigilance, place 1 or 2 light on the board. See, this is where I should have been looking for these, but we didn't know. All right, we're going to go ahead, put those down here, flip our token, and draw our next Darkness card and see what happens. We have, I have to increase the danger by 1. So that's going to bring our danger stat up. Our danger stat goes to 5, and look, our threshold of 3 is now there. Our second player for this round is going to be Prudence. She's going to go ahead and roll her dice and see what she gets. I should put her back up on her stand because she's one of my favorite models. I guess Justice and her are pretty awesome. These are my 2 favorites. All right, we're going to go ahead and roll up and see what we get. Oh, we got 2 pain dice. That's actually perfect. That's exactly what I needed. All right, we have a lot of dice here to deal with, which is pretty sweet. So the first one we're going to do, of course, we are going to do this action because that's awesome. Now, sadly, I didn't think about it. Maybe I should have gave her bravery because check this out. I could have placed a light onto a virtue's dashboard, which again, thinking about trying to set yourself up for the next turn or next events in the story might be the way to go. Totally forgot about this. It would have been probably a good idea. I am going to probably go ahead and I'd like to donate this die, but if I donate, I lose my braveries up there. I should have totally gave her bravery. Oh well, we're gonna, no, this is so tough. There's so many dice and I don't know what to do because I don't think anything here is going to help us. I can, of course, re-roll one of these dice. I'm going to re-roll one of the pain dice. Maybe I can get into a bravery symbol. That'd be kind of good. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got a fear. That's not going to help us at all. Does it help anybody else? Oh, I think it does. It might help Temperance. So we're going to go ahead and donate this to Temperance, and we're going to see what we can give to Courage. Why not donate some? Oh, I can't donate any dice to Courage. Courage has already gone. You cannot donate dice to characters that have already gone this turn. I am going to go give this pain die, though, over to Justice, and I'm going to remove one of these from her. Oh no, I have to remove it from the donated dice. Oh, that's terrible. I can't do that. I need to keep this. All right, that's about all I can do here. We do get to place 1 light though. That's going to be awesome. And I'm going to grab these 2, put these into reserve. Totally fine. And these 2 I'm not going to do anything with, and that's just fine. I do have to lower 1 strength, compassion, or clarity. We're going to go ahead and lower our clarity stat. We're still at +1, totally fine, and I haven't even had to use this stat. Of course, that probably means I'm using it in the next scene, but hopefully not because I'm lowering it. We have started illuminating Solomon's path. We have 1 light. We now have to discard the card, go ahead, flip our token, and put out our 2 new cards, and also grab 2 more. Sadly, I can't get that one going because it's not on my dashboard. And we've gotten which one? Choose a virtue. That virtue may immediately search through their discard pile and play a card of their choice from it. Oh, that would be so good. Look at all these good cards. Oh, look at this one. Okay, in the future, I got to make sure I have these cards that give me light out available to me almost at all times, just in case we get into a chapter that doesn't give us much to do. Here is our Darkness card. Oh no, we have to remove 1 light. Oh, I think that's going to spell doom and gloom for our poor Mr. Kane here. So we're going to go ahead. Oh, I can remove it from anything. It does say remove 1 light. It does not say that the light has to be from the book. I believe I can remove it from my virtues, I'm going to remove this one from justice. Now, I could be wrong about that. I might have to only be able to remove them from the characters we have, but we're going to go forward with just being able to remove one light from something. Just says remove one light. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below, but I believe you're able to remove a light from anything on the board. So we're going to go with it. We're going to go ahead and finish that turn and move into our third person's turn, which is justice. Hopefully she can bring this home. This all comes down to justice. We're going to see what she can do. We're going to roll our 3 dice and hopefully bring home what they would call the bacon. Oh, I think we did it. This is going to be awesome. All right, I think good things are about to happen. I can go ahead and flip this die. I'm going to do that. Look at all these dice I have. This is going to be absolutely sweetness. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do this action here to place one light on the board. That's going to be sweet. Then I can use this one to go ahead and place one light on the board. I can also do these actions more than once from what I understand. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, I can't do this. Oh no, I was really hoping I could do this one more than once. But sadly, this is not a pain symbol. I needed a pain symbol. I was going to go ahead and use my mercy cube to add one of these dice, but I cannot, alas. I am going to go ahead though and put these in our reserve. Why not keep them for next time? I think that'll be okay. Well, we got 2 light. 2 is better than none. Putting 2 more light onto our path does illuminate the board, but it's not over yet. We're going to go ahead, clear the dice that we used. I'm going to discard this one. We're going to bring both of these cards down and place them out on the board. Then I'm going to go ahead and draw my last 2 cards that she has. She's got place a mercy cube and place a light. Oh, so many different light from justice, but I only had a couple cards. All right, we have a talk 5, and we can also get a couple mercy cubes. Of course, our last darkness card has to be drawn. Let's see how it goes. Come on, be a nice card. Oh, our danger goes up by 1. Okay, well, at least we didn't lose light, but still, that's pretty bad too. Our danger goes up to 6. Oh, that's terrible. We were able to illuminate Solomon's path, but at a cost, our dangerously high. We're up to 3 shadows, but we are going to go ahead and see how our outcome is. Since we have a bright path, we're going to proceed to 5A. But before we do, I get to at least adjust one of the tracks 1 space. I could maybe raise our compassion back up to 7, but I really think I want to get this danger down. I need to get it back down to these 2. I don't like having shadows on the board. Even though I was able to get all those virtues out there that one time, I don't think it's going to happen very often. Staying at lower danger, I think, is going to help us. Of course, if our danger ever gets pushed up to Spinal Tap 11, then we lose the game. And if any of our main attributes go into the zeros, we also lose the game. So we also have to be conscious of that. Losing compassion would also be a very dangerous thing to have happen to us. 5A is a new scene chapter, and it's called The Beast Revealed, and we're going to reveal it in the next video. That's right. We're going to stop right here. I will go ahead and read this in our next video and continue our playthrough of Solomon Kane. I'm having a blast doing this. I love the different virtues. I love how it was actually pretty challenging getting through that story chapter because we didn't have enough light set up. So I have to remember to try to keep setting up our virtues to be able to move forward in this game. It's a really interesting way of how you have to play this game. I love being able to share these dice and being able to reserve dice. This is a really great concept, and I love the way the story evolves as you go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the playthrough of Solomon Kane. We're going through the Beasts of Bordeaux, and this is going to be really cool. We're going to keep on hopefully being with this villager. We're not sure if he's a werewolf or not. We're going to find out when we read through the next chapter in the next video. It's been great. These virtues are amazing. This is really a cool game. I'm excited to continue playing. If you did enjoy the playthrough, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when the next video of Solomon Kane hits the channel. Also, please feel free to leave anything in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone. This game is a new game, and I'm excited to continue playing. Of course, if there's anything I need to adjust, please make sure you tell me in the video so I can go ahead and do that in a pinned comment below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and if you're excited to see what happens to Solomon Kane and this villager, who knows who this guy is, then I need you to meet me at the table.